Hi everyone, this video is about how to do a shallow hook technique, and the reason why I'm doing this video is because I realized that a lot of my customers who bought the horn thumb ring from us, they may not know how to use the ring, which requires shallow hook. So this video is to actually educate my customers on how to use the ring. But while I am planning to do this video, I realized that it was necessary for me to talk a little bit about the thumb ring because for anyone who may not have this ring, okay, and you want to do a shallow hook technique, there is actually certain requirements. The ring has to be designed for shallow hook. You can't just use any random ring and then try with shallow hook. Also, the fitting of the ring is very important. So might as well go a little bit more in details. I'm going to first talk about the ring design, several of them, and then I'm going to talk about the ring fitting before I talk about the technique. So let's start off with a deep hook ring. Okay, what exactly is a deep hook ring? Basically, any ring design in which it has a string guard. Okay, this piece here is called a string guard. This lifted area here. Okay. The purpose of this is to prevent the string from biting into the flesh. Let me show you. So the string sits right here, and the guard prevents the string from biting into the skin regardless of the angle of your thumb. Okay, so because of that protection there, you can literally just hook all the way in without worrying about the angle of the ring. Okay, you don't have to worry about the finesse in angle and whatever. You just hook all the way in, so it's actually very easy to use. Anyone, any beginner, they get a deep hook ring, put it on, bend all the way in, they will be able to use a deep hook without difficulty. But shallow hook requires some finesse, and any ring that has a guard, in my opinion, okay, maybe I'm wrong, but so far I find that any ring with a string guard does not work very well as a shallow hook ring. Okay, so a shallow hook ring cannot have a string guard. Reason is because for shallow hook to work correctly, you want the string to sit literally on your skin, and when that happens, the distance between the string and your thumb is zero. Okay, what does that mean? When the distance is zero, the string has no leverage on your thumb. So you can literally lift your thumb straight and the string will not escape. But if you have a guard, like in this case, you will always have, no matter how thin that guard is, you will always have a gap, a distance between the string and your skin. That distance is leverage. As the poundage increases, the leverage of the string on your thumb increases. So, because of that leverage there, the string wants to pull the thumb open. Okay, it tries to pull the thumb open, and therefore, as the poundage increases, because of that leverage there, where the distance is not zero, it tries to pull with the increasing force. You have to also counter it with increasing force inward. Okay, that is why if you have a guard, naturally you will have that distance and that leverage, and the string from the bow will use that leverage against you. So you have to kind of hook deeper as poundage increase. So therefore, it doesn't work very well as a shallow hook ring. Whereas a shallow hook, because there is no distance there, the distance is zero, the string is literally on your skin, therefore there is no leverage. The string cannot exert any leverage on your thumb. Therefore, no matter what poundage you use, even if you go to 100 pounds, if you manage 200 pounds, go ahead. The string cannot exert any force to open your thumb. And at higher poundage, you can still maintain the same form. Your thumb is at the same angle. It doesn't matter what the poundage is. Okay, so that's the reason why a guard will never make a good shallow hook ring. For a proper shallow hook, you have to have no guard. Okay, you cannot have a guard. The string has to sit on your skin. Okay, so obviously this one here is actually a Vermeil classic ring, brass. As you can see, there's a guard, and this one will not work very well as a shallow hook. This is a deep hook ring. Now, small differences in ring design will matter. Like, for example, look at these two. You see, oh, it looks very similar, right? It looks like a copy of the Vermeil ring. It looks very similar, right? But these two rings work very differently. I can actually use this one, but when I use this one, the string will slip off. I will have to hook even deeper. Why is that? It's because on the underside, there is a minor difference. It is a very minor difference. Most people will not even spot the difference. They look at the top, oh, it looks the same. They will assume it works the same, but no, because of the minor difference on the underside, these two rings work completely differently. So what I'm trying to say is small difference in the ring design matters. Okay, now another ring here, the Vermeil Victory model. Now very often, okay, I actually seen a couple of times where people will look at this ring and say, yeah, this one here is a shallow hook ring because it doesn't have a guard. Okay, no, this one here is a deep hook ring. In fact, it's even a deeper hook ring than the classic. So the guard doesn't have to be exactly in the center. In this case, the guard is on the side. These two here is the guard. The string sits at this, you see this curve here, right? The string sits at this curve here. Let me put it on the, let me use a string here to illustrate. Okay. It doesn't bite into the skin because the two collar, just like, you know, on a shirt, the collar, two collar on the side here, that's the guard. Okay, so this design here is not a shallow hook ring. This is a very deep hook ring. Okay, so again, differences in design can affect the way it works. See, this one may not look like it has a guard, but it does. Okay, it's just minor differences. Okay, another ring here. Now, just because a ring is made of horn doesn't make it the best. Okay, I can tell you this is one of the worst ring I have. Okay, let's have a look at the design. You see, look, it looks very similar to the classic, right? It looks very similar. It looks very similar, but again, it works totally different. This one here relies on a very small indentation over here to hook the ring, to hook the string. Otherwise, this angle is made so bad the string will just slip off. That's why I carved a indentation over here to hook the ring, hook the string. This particular design is actually very similar to this one as well. Again, they look different, but they actually work exactly the same. This one here would be very similar to the Alibo so-called painless ring. Okay, because if you look at it, you know, this line in the middle, there's this triangle here, there's a guard here, then the underside is like flat, no texture, no structure to it. Same with this one, no structure to it. Okay, so these two actually work exactly the same way as the Alibo painless ring. So these, in my opinion, they are more of a deep hook, but you can kind of use it as a shallow hook as well. A little bit easier to slip off with a shallow hook, but mostly a deep hook. Okay, it is mostly a deep hook again because there is a guard here. So with a higher poundage, it becomes a deep hook ring, but at lower poundage, where the leverage is not very high, you can kind of use it as a shallow hook. Okay, so the limitation of this kind of ring, shallow hook at lower poundages possible, higher poundage, the leverage makes it very difficult to maintain the shallow hook. It becomes a deep hook. Okay, all right, now I'm going to show you the first example of a shallow hook. So you see, there is no guard. Okay, there's no guard. I'm going to show you another example. This one here, oh, this one here is the Vermeil Lotus. This one here is the Turkish. Okay, it has no guard. For a lot of people, when they first try this ring, it hurts. Okay, it hurts because the string is gonna bite into your skin. Okay, but that's in fact the whole point. The whole point of this shallow hook is that it is made in such a way that if you hook too tight, too deep, it will hurt you, it will punish you, so that you will open your thumb out, okay, open it up. You do not want to hook very deep. You want to actually maintain the string position in a very consistent position. That way your hook is more consistent, your release is more consistent. So that's the whole idea about shallow hook. It places the string in a very narrow band, narrow area, whereas the deep hook, it doesn't matter. Okay, deep hook you can like just bend your thumb all the way, but shallow hook you cannot. You have to keep the string in a very specific position. Okay, so this is the shallow hook ring. This is also another one. Again, small differences in the design matters. So I actually used to learn my shallow hook with this ring, but in my opinion, maybe for some people, due to the cost, they would just try to make the ring work for them. But I find that it is not that great. That's why in the end, I created my own design, which is these rings, these horn rings. Right now, I actually have several versions. For example, this is the symmetric version, where the center line here is exactly in the center. We also have the asymmetric version, where it is not in the center, it is off to one side. So I actually have a video explaining why the asymmetric like that. Okay, I'm not going to talk about that here. And then we also have like the higher poundage or the standard poundage. So in my opinion, these are the, okay, in my opinion, my own opinion is that these are the best shallow hook ring that I have had so far. And I literally use all the ring design from previous that I show you, and I took lessons from them to create this ring. So one of the very critical part of the design is the underneath structure, which I just now mentioned, right? So this, okay, I'm going to show you several horn rings. You see this one here, down here is featureless. It is just flat. Okay, flat, featureless. Same thing with this one. So advantage of doing this is that it saves you time to build. Okay, it saves you building time. It is easier to make a ring that is just like that. It's just nothing. It's featureless. Problem is, with such a design, the ring doesn't grip on the skin very well. So when you use it, especially with a shallow hook, because shallow hook requires to open your thumb more, it tries to pull that ring out, and the ring will slide. It tries to slide out. When it tries to slide out, your thumb, your joint here, tries to go into the ring. I'm not going to show. Okay, it's very difficult to show, but the ring tries to get out, and it's going to pinch very tight on this joint here, and that's why it's going to hurt. And this is particularly true with the metal rings. So when I was using the deep hook metal ring, they were great, fine, no issue. But the moment I start using the metal ring with a shallow hook, it wasn't great, because it is slippery. It is slippery when there's a lot of weight to it. It pulls especially when you start sweating. This one will try to slide out and it pinches on the joint so hard, so it's painful. So when we design this one, the under structure is extremely important, where it has to be designed to grip on the skin so that it cannot slide out. Okay, so yeah, even this one here, there is no structure to it, flat. But these are not. There are actually a structure right here, and then there's texture down here. A bit more difficult, time consuming to build, but it bites on the skin. It really bites here and the side. Okay, that would be in terms of ring design. And then in terms of ring fit, okay, ring fit, very, very important, because this time I told you that for shallow hook, we tend to actually open our thumb more, and therefore it tries to slide out. So you actually want the ring to be slightly tight so that it can grip on your skin as much as possible. The ideal fitting is such that when you put it on, it doesn't immediately go all the way. Okay, it should be kind of slightly tight where you can't really push in, and if possible, you might want to rock it a little bit to go in. That would be the ideal size. For example, okay, this is a bit loose, you see. Okay, going like that is a bit loose. You want the ring to be slightly tight where it kind of jams on this joint here, jams just a little bit, and you kind of rock it a little bit to go through. That would be the ideal size. And once you rotate 90 degrees, it should not come out at all. Even when the thumb is perfectly straight, it should not come out. Okay, that will be the fitting. We have the design and then the fitting. And now I'm going to talk about the technique. Okay, for the technique, it's actually not that difficult, but you kind of have to change the way you think about hooking the string. Okay, so normally when you hook the string, you kind of instinctively think that if the string feels like it wants to slip off, your natural instinctive reaction is to tighten the hook, correct? Okay, maybe I'm gonna have an arrow here, and I'm gonna put a deep hook ring. So naturally, when you hook like this and you feel, oh, somehow it feels like it wants to slip off, your natural reaction is to tighten. You would tighten the whole thing like this. Okay, that is a very natural instinctive reaction. You have to change that. For shallow hook to work, you cannot tighten the hook. When you feel that the string wants to slip off, you do a twist. Okay, twist. You apply pressure on the side here and the string. See, when I hook like this, notice that this part here is contacting the string, and here is contacting the shaft. So I'm applying pressure on the very near to the knock. Okay, right here, very near to the knock. Okay, look, very near to the knock, supporting this area, because if it's too front, okay, too far out like that, it's not good. Okay, you're putting too much, the distance from here to here, if it's too much, there's too much leverage, it can break the knock. So we want to have very near the knock. Your finger is literally supporting like that, okay, pressing the side of the knock. Okay, have a look, supporting the side of the knock and also the string. Okay, so it's very easy to apply the side pressure, pushing here and here into the ring. For as long as they keep a pressure inwards here, it will not slip off. So I'm going to show you where I have my thumb completely straight like that. I'm not going to even bend my thumb. I'm going to only apply side pressure to the string. Okay, I'm going to apply side pressure on the string. I'm not going to even bend my thumb. My thumb is straight. Have a look. Okay. Okay. So it can hook even without locking. Okay, it doesn't even need to lock in order to pull. even when your thumb is completely straight, it can pull. But the requirement is that you have to apply a side pressure. Okay. Basically, this ring here is a ledge, and the string can attach to the ledge. The problem now is that the string wants to slide out. It's trying to slide away from the ring. And what you're going to do is you're trying to block the string from sliding out. As long as you keep the string pressing inwards into your skin, it will not go off at all. Okay? So that's the important part. You don't actually have to hook your thumb at all. Now, I want you to focus on my finger here. When I hook like this, the contact point, look at this finger here. Let's divide this part into the lower part here and the upper part here. Okay, this segment divide into two, the lower half and the top half. You only use the top half here, which is this part, okay, to touch the top of your thumbnail. Okay, I'm going to try to turn a few angles so you can see, like that. Okay, this section here touching the top side of your thumb, just like that. That's all you need. That's all. You don't really do anything with the thumb. The thumb is relaxed, very gently, just hook around the string, and then very gently your finger touch the top side of the thumb. Done. Now, when you're doing this, a lot of people actually have a bit of difficulty where they will either like that, or like that, or something like that. So they have this issue here. Usually the problem is because of this one here and this one here. Very, very commonly, a lot of people try to do this. They squeeze this area here. If you squeeze this area, of course, your thumb cannot reach. Okay? You kind of have to let the thumb and this part here be far apart. So imagine you just try to hook something like that. Try to grip something like that. Okay? It's more like that. Okay, you see this big gap here? So very common among my students when I teach them, initially they couldn't do it because they try to do this. Okay, you see there's no gap. When there's no gap, you see, difficult, right? They can't do it, they can't reach it. So remember, it's not like this. You kind of have to lift this knuckle up. Leave a gap here. Don't try to squeeze the thumb. Leave the gap there. Leave the gap there, and then it will work. So, three finger closed, ring under the arrow, touching. Okay, you must touch because we are using the arrow and the string in order to keep it on the ring. If you have a distance here, it's going to be a bit difficult. Okay, like that. Ring around the string, touching the arrow, and like this. Notice that this part here, the thumb is flush. The thumb is flush with the thumb. The thumb is flush with the index finger. So do not stick your thumb like that. Okay, this is wrong. Do not stick the thumb out. Okay, it's supposed to be flushed like that. Okay, kind of flush. You see that? Sorry. Flushed. Okay. It's a bit difficult to show you, but notice this bone here that I'm pointing the tip of this joint right here is actually above the arrow. Okay, if you see this is too tight. This is way too tight. Relax like this. I'll show you from a different angle. See, very, very relaxed. Okay, show you from the top. Bottom. Okay, and then as we pull it back, all you need to do is twist. You won't apply, just like I said, you won't apply the side pressure on the shaft and the string. As long as you apply the side pressure, okay, you turn in and pull. Okay, just turn in and pull, just like you open a door, right? When you try to open a door, you turn and open a door. So same thing here, you just turn and pull. As long as you keep the side pressure, the string will not go off. when you're ready to shoot, remember your thumb does nothing. Your thumb is completely relaxed. You don't use any strength on your thumb. Now to release, just lift the index finger, it will go off. Additionally, as you draw back, our hand naturally, you see, have a look at my elbow here and my wrist here. As we draw back, we actually tend to open up like that. So when we open up this way, the pressure on the string and the arrow is reduced, and it can actually result in a slip off. The string can fire. So to prevent that, as we draw back, you actually have to compensate by keeping pressure. Your wrist, you have to kind of rotate in, keep the pressure on the string and the arrow as you draw back. And even as you return, if you decided not to shoot, you want to return again, keep that pressure on. It's not a lot of pressure actually, it's just that a slight sensation pressing on the arrow so that you keep the arrow touching the arrow pass at all times. Because if you don't, there's a chance that the arrow might start to drift out a little bit, right? So you only need to have enough pressure to keep the arrow touching the arrow pass. That's all you need. You don't actually have to put like a lot of strength. Even though I say you have to keep the pressure in, but it's really just like more like touching. You have to touch the arrow, press here gently to keep the arrow from falling out. That's all you need. So it's actually not like a lot of pressure where you will bend or twist the arrow shaft, not like that. And whenever you feel like it wants to slip off, right? So maybe somewhere along the way as you draw back, as you anchor, maybe you twitch a little bit and you feel like the string wants to slip off. You feel a lack of confidence. It feels like it's going to slip off. What do? Well, again, remember, do not tighten. Do not tighten. All you need to do is just twist. Apply side pressure. As long as you push the string and the arrow towards your ring, it will not fire, okay? So that's pretty much the whole trick about this shallow hook. It's all about keeping that side pressure and draw back. Just rotate and pull. So just like how you open the door, you turn, you pull. Okay? So you twist and pull, and you keep that pressure there until you shoot. So it's actually really not that difficult. It's pretty easy. Maybe the first few shots you may pick it up a little bit at a time, but don't worry, after a few shots actually it becomes very natural. Maybe a session or two, you pretty much master it already. So do not fear shallow hook. Once you get it, you realize that it is amazing and you will never go back to any of the deep hook rings. And that's what happens to me and all my customers who tried it. Once we start using this ring, all the rings I showed you earlier, we didn't touch it anymore. It's just when we go back to all those rings, it just feels weird, awkward. Example, okay, like this. Let me put this aside. Okay, this one, this classic one, because it is oversized, it's actually way too big for me. It is way too big. That's why you see there's a lot of space. So because of its oversized, I think it is still okay, still somewhat fit and not too bad. But after a few shots, it's because of the metal being slippery, right? So it tries to compress the side and then it becomes loose. You know, looks very similar, but this is trash. I could never get myself to use this very well. This one required a deeper hook than the classic. I didn't like it. This one here, okay, this is very prone to misfire. Okay, this, if you try to use a shallow hook with this, it is very prone to misfire. So I usually will have to use it with a deep hook. Okay, just like I told you, you can use it with shallow hook with a low poundage, but once the poundage goes up, you pretty much would you automatically just convert to deep hook. Okay, this particular ring style is very prone to misfire. Now this one here, I can still fit it, but when I hook like this, I feel that the structure underneath is not very well designed. Like in the past when I first used this one without the batter ring, I just felt like, oh, this is how it should be. But ever since I got the other ring, oh, it just feels so much better. When I come back to this one, I just feel like, oh, the structure underneath is not that great. So I can feel the pressure focus on the side of the joint here, because the lack of the structure on the underside here, all the strength is focused on the side, so it's not that comfortable. This one is, okay, this is the Turkish. I feel even lack of confidence with this one. So you see the lip here is way too short, right? You can see that the skin here is being forced up, right? So this actually has a very high chance of the string striking the skin. In fact, that's exactly what happened when we did this one. This is the very first version of the horn ring that we created, and the whole idea was actually based on this as well. And we realized that this short one here is a problem. On a bigger bow is less issue, but on a smaller bow it becomes a problem. You see, when you have your skin sticking out like that, okay, it will get struck by the string. So you know, we stand by our quality. So that time we actually took several orders of rings like this, and we made replacement free of charge for the customers because we weren't particularly satisfied with this one. And nowadays we have the updated version, which are, you see, the lip here is longer, whatever you call it, the lip, the tongue, whatever. Okay, this side here is longer. The structure on the underside is also improved. Okay, so if you're interested with the ring, just let me know. Otherwise, you can also go with the other shallow hook rings that I showed you earlier. May not be the most ideal, but you can try. You can definitely try. I just personally don't find them very good. They are slippery. That's the problem. I used to like metal rings, but when it comes to shallow hook, I don't think the metal ring works very well. It is very slippery, and that slippery is actually a problem. As you use it, the sweat makes it very slippery, and try to slide out, it will compress the side here. And what do? You naturally try to retain the ring from sliding out. Okay, and when you try to compensate for that by bending more, then you screw up. You are using a deep hook, and the string is driven into your skin, and it's gonna be painful. Okay, so that's why I decided that this is the way. That one didn't work very well.